You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, we are watching right now this explosive battle between Trump's White House and his DOJ and FBI agents who have now filed suit in two separate lawsuits against Trump and his Department of Justice. We now have some good news on the horizon here insofar as we can take some good news out of this. Can you explain what just happened?
Yeah, so Brian, these two lawsuits, two class action suits that were brought by two separate groups of FBI agents and employees who believe they're about to be unlawfully terminated, fired from their jobs for simply investigating the J6 cases or the classified documents Mar-a-Lago case. They have now been assigned to federal district court trial judges in Washington, D.C. I will tell you, prosecutors and defense attorneys are always keenly interested in what judges will be assigned the cases that they are bringing, that they are litigating, because the judge can make all the difference. And the good news is both of the judges who will preside over these class action lawsuits are pretty darn good judges. One is Cobb. She is a former public defender. In fact, Brian, she is a product of the same public defender service office as Tanya Chutkan is. Those were the public defenders against whom we, the prosecutors in Washington, D.C., would try cases. So I had cases with Tanya Chutkan. I also had a couple of cases with Cobb, probably more with Judge Chutkan than Judge Cobb, but I can tell you she is a product of a great public defender service office and practice, and she has distinguished herself as a really good judge in the time she has been on the federal bench in Washington, D.C. She's fair. I believe she is a Biden appointee, and I believe she will handle this suit brought by the FBI against the Department of Justice, against the acting Attorney General. She will handle it well and fairly. The other case has been assigned to Judge Tim Kelly. Now, Judge Tim Kelly was actually a federal prosecutor in my former office for a decade and was pretty highly regarded. He wasn't so much in our violent crime practice. He was in the public corruption practice. But most importantly, Brian, he presided over the Proud Boys trial. So I got to watch him preside. He did a heck of a good job. And importantly, when there were attacks on the government and on the FBI's work, he was generally ruling in favor of the FBI, of the prosecution, of the Department of Justice. So it feels like he already knows a couple of things about all January 6 matters. One, that the FBI and the federal prosecutors were doing a good, honest, honorable job. And two, Tim Kelly saw up close, as the presiding judge in the Proud Boys case, the Proud Boys prosecution, the horrors that were perpetrated at the Capitol on January 6th. So I fully expect Tim Kelly to be a really strong, fair, independent, and impartial judge in presiding over one of these FBI class actions that has now been filed. Here's the thing. People will say, well, wait a minute, wasn't Tim Kelly appointed by Donald Trump? And the answer is yes, he was. I think I can explain how that came about. I have to draw some reasonable inferences. But after Tim Kelly left federal prosecution, he went over and worked with Senator Grassley's office for a couple of years as a national security attorney on Grassley's staff. Now, just 1 year into Donald Trump's term, in 2017, undoubtedly Senator Grassley said to Donald Trump, this is where I'm drawing the reasonable inference, I got this guy on my staff who'd like to be a federal judge, and Donald Trump appointed Tim Kelly off of Grassley's staff as a federal judge. I don't think I would call him a Trump judge the way we look at an Aileen Cannon or perhaps a few others who have distinguished themselves as not capable of being fair and impartial. Tim Kelly is capable and has proven that he is a fair, impartial, and independent judge, though he was appointed by Donald Trump. So this is good news that these two FBI lawsuits to try to stop Donald Trump's lawless terminations of FBI agents have landed with these two judges.
Glenn, is this the kind of thing where, okay, now this litigation is in process, are we going to see these people be able to retain their jobs? Or is this just litigating against the prospect of, okay, they've been unlawfully terminated, now they're owed back pay, for example? Because I think the goal for you and I, as we've spoken about in previous videos, is to make sure that people retain their positions within the FBI so that they're not just replaced by Trump loyalists.
The good news, Brian, is there are a number of steps that have been taken by Donald Trump's henchmen at the Department of Justice. And let me tell you, the people like the acting attorney general and like this guy, Emil Bove, who is doing Donald Trump's nefarious bidding, these people will go down in infamy for what they're doing right now. And they are taking incremental steps trying to wrongfully terminate the FBI agents and employees. Here's the good news. They're not there yet. So given that these suits have been filed, given that they're seeking injunctive relief, translation, they want the judges to tell the Department of Justice and Donald Trump's administration, stop right now before you make your way to unlawful terminations of these agents for having the temerity to investigate and expose the crimes of Donald Trump. That is not good cause to terminate someone. And I think there is some hope that the judges can cut the damage off at the pass before these FBI agents and employees, have to suffer through a wrongful termination and a potentially years-long court battle to get their good name restored and get whatever back pay they might be owed if they are wrongfully terminated.